Okay, everyone. So this is a session from the perspective of an ACE parent. So my name is Stuart Patton. I'm the global CEO of ACE, and we kindly have Matthew here this morning to give us a perspective from a parent's view of ACE. So rather than a teacher saying what they feel of ACE or anybody in the management side, it's really important if you're a parent to understand the context and the decisions of a parent. So Matthew, maybe I could ask you to start perhaps by giving some of your, or sharing some of your experiences of your children in ACE and how you found that went.
Sure. Thanks, Stuart. So those tuning in are mostly prospective parents, right?
Yeah. So everyone listening now is saying, okay, why should I send my child to ACE? You know, what's ACE got that the schools haven't got? So maybe you can give your perspective, okay, on this.
Yeah. So just a bit of background on my children. So my son's 16 this year, just finished his IGCSE. He's studying in Sri Amas, and then my daughter is in year 8 this year, going into year 7 this year, going to year 8 next year. And then I've got a younger one. So, in the primary school, they went to Chinese school. So the Chinese government schools, of course, it saves us some money to go to a government school. But my children were actually struggling because I don't speak Mandarin, and I couldn't help them with their homework. So Chinese school, a lot of homework, right? They give you a lot of homework, but they don't teach you enough. There's a lot of parents had to help their children a lot outside of school. I found that with all three of my children, including my third one. So I don't think I think it's quite typical of a family that doesn't speak Mandarin to send their children to a Chinese school and expect them to immediately do well. So it was a struggle for all three of them. And I know now it's not them, because when my son went to Sri Amas, he started doing very well. He started becoming very confident, and he was a top student from the back in Chinese school. Like from standard 1 to standard 6, he struggled, but then got into ACE, got into Sri Amas in particular, and he started doing really well. And I think he's on target for six A's, I think. 6 or 7 A's this IGCSE. So as a parent, I think that's the best I can ask for, and I think it's been a great journey for him. My daughter's really enjoying the school. They dread going to school in primary school. Now they just dread not going to school in Sri Amas. Every time there's an MCO, there's a lockdown, or if there's a holiday, they don't like it. They really just want to get back into school. And I think Sri Amas has managed to do that very well. The culture, the welcomingness. It's a small school. Everyone's close. Everyone knows each other. Although they're expanding big now, but it's still a very friendly family kind of feel. Almost everyone knows everyone in terms of their class form. So that has fostered a very healthy academic and community, I think, in my opinion. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you say that. The good thing is you've got a comparison of two different situations. Okay, you have a comparison of a more traditional way of teaching, which is what your children experienced in the government school, and I think that comes back to the point that the teachers were making originally on the first part of this talk this morning, where if you've come through a traditional, my own personal view, okay, you've come through a traditional teaching route, your focus is to deliver the content, because that's you're measured on content out, so you're delivering content. But if content has no context, meaning here's the information, but how do I use that and where is it relevant? If you can deliver that additional perspective, that makes learning more engaging and easier. And I think that's what teachers bring in the ACE scenario. I think the other thing as well is, and you've seen that by the way you've explained it, Matthew, is you've seen your children are more positive, I would say, more happy, if I can use those terms, okay. And we know that if you're just from learning. If you're not learning under stress, your learning is much more effective. If you're stressed to deliver something, your learning gets very narrow and it becomes a bad experience. And I think the focus of the ACE system is to make education a happy experience, as well as achieve all the other things around it. Because education is lifelong learning. So I think it's really important to share that. So thank you for doing that. I think we also have Joan in now. So can you hear us, Joan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, okay?
Yes, hi. Good morning.
Good
Sorry,
morning.
I'm late.
No problem. Thank you very much for joining us, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So the goal of this little session now is for existing ACE parents to share their experience of ACE and their views of what they've seen for their children with parents yet who may are now considering maybe to go to an ACE school.
Okay.
So if I could ask you, if you just to be happy just to give some examples or your view of what you've seen in ACE from a parent's perspective.
Okay, my two kids actually started in a Chinese school as well. Yeah, so just after 1 year, my daughter got traumatized because one of the discipline teacher be their subject teacher. So she was crying every morning and said she doesn't want to go to school because of the teacher was so fierce and all that. So and then we tried to talk to the teacher, headmaster, but it doesn't work out. So there's one day she was begging and asked me to take her out. So okay, cut it short. So we managed to take her out to another homeschool, which is near our old place. So yeah, she's doing a little better, because the class is smaller. But before that, Chinese school, one class is about 50. Okay, so we spent 2 years there, but I knew doing a mask was 5 years ago when they started to and all had this do a mask. So I was following their Facebook quite frequent, knowing what's happening. So there's a chance that I moved to Shah Alam last year. So I was like, no way I'm going to not putting my kids in this school, because I've been hearing a lot about doing a mask also. Okay, so when they go into the school, they are very how to say, you can see they are very open, and then they are very happy, when every day they come back from home, they are talking about their school teacher, because the teachers are young and experienced, so they treat the kids like friends, so they can get along pretty well. And then also because of the entrepreneur thing, because my daughter is quite into this entrepreneur, so she learns a lot how to start up a business if he wants to. And then also school also give them opportunity to really go into the how to do the business thing. I think last year they managed to involve in this Polish this one of the event. So she was a partner with another girl selling the mango smoothie. So from there I can see she was very open, in a sense she will go to the customer that she doesn't know and then to approach them, so the changes that you can see, they are more open and not like last time, when they're in Chinese school, a lot of things that they don't dare to speak out, because when you speak something that teacher don't like it, then they probably stop you for saying what they are thinking. So then me and my husband was thinking our kids a lot of ideas, a lot of things that to share, but then just that because of they are in that environment that teacher may not have the teacher may not have the that kind of time for you, each of you, to share what you are thinking. So what is always teachers the ones who do the saying, you guys have to follow. So after we pull them out to do a mask, they speak out a lot, they share a lot of things at home. Even at home, sometimes you will find that, we will be surprised that they know a lot of things that we thought we never thought of, they will know already, So all these things impress us a lot. So like till now, we really have no regrets of putting the kids, into doing a mask. So we're very happy about that.
I think so. You've had a similar experience then to Matthew, in a sense. You can compare two different systems and two approaches to teaching. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think so. Anne mentioned at the very start of this particular session this morning that ACE take on board lots of approaches from Finland, and which is true. Okay, I know Finland very well. Now, if anybody will tell you, well, they will say that the Finnish system is the top public system in the world, education system, which it is. But there's no private schools in Finland, only one public system, and teachers are seen as being a very high status in society. Now, unfortunately, in most of the parts of the world, when you're a teacher, your recognition in society isn't so high. So if you're in Finland, you would say teacher, lawyer, doctor. It's seen as a high position. So what in effect ACE have done is they've taken people who have experience in professions, and they've found that they want to have a passion for coming back and sharing and teaching. And they're young people, they're not older people, right? So they're coming back because they have a desire. So the thing is, why are you in education? And the reason that ACE are in education, if I can say, is to change education for the better. Not just to be in it, but to change education. So the people who come into it also have to feel as though they want to change education. And I think this situation then has an effect on the students who go to school, because they have this interaction with people who have this mindset and this view of the world. So then it isn't just about the content you're learning, it's about the environment in which you're learning, both in terms of teachers and peers. So I think that's also a really good thing. I mean, one thing would be interesting to say, if you could identify 2 or 3 things that you saw were the first changes in your children when they moved from one school to the next, the things that you thought, wow, I'm really pleased that's happened. What things would you describe that were in your view as a parent, oh, that's an important change, I'm really happy that's happened? Can you think of any 2 or 3 things?
Sorry, Clarissa first or myself, or
you can go first, Matthew. Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, I would say, thinking back, because again, for my son, he was the one that experienced the most challenges when he was in school, in primary school. So he got really frustrated. We sent, and the more frustrated he got, just a bit of background, the more tuition we sent him to. So he was like up to his eyeballs in tuition. After school, when he goes to school, comes back, has his lunch, and then we would send him tuition all the way from 2 p.m. to 6, sometimes even 7 p.m. I have to say, my wife organized all that. I didn't fully agree, but again, unfortunately, it was something that she just really wanted to fix. But you know what? After 6 years of all that hardcore tuition and all that extra hours, it actually didn't fix anything. It just made him more and more frustrated. So I mean, if some of you are experiencing that, I can tell you that is actually not a very good experience for father and hindsight now. So the first biggest thing I realized was that he started, when he went to Sri Amas, he started loving learning. He started liking going to school. He started getting excited and interested in things that were taught at school. Whereas previously he just tried to push everything away and did the bare minimum. And the more tuition we load onto him, the more he just attended classes. But inside here, I could see that he was like, in a way, it's like just brain dead. All that changed when he went to Sri Amas, so he really got involved. Then he started to, initially he struggled to make friends also, but then after the second year, he started to, the sharing, a bit of, growing pains, I guess, right? But in a safe, caring environment, it allows you to grow. It allows you to make the little mistakes, which they will make in secondary life. That's the other part, is point 2, I would say. It allows you to grow in an encouraging environment, safe. You don't have to worry about about anything. You don't have to worry about bullying. Everyone's so encouraging. Everyone's nurturing. You don't have to worry about a lot of things that you probably have to worry if you're in a less caring and nurturing environment. So I would say that's number two. I know my children are safe there. I know their development is going to be ecological. It's going to be well balanced. I know their learning and development is going to be encouraged, and that's a pleasure in itself. Third thing I would say is the school is organizing a lot of things outside of the traditional academic curriculum. So they have the Seeds camp that was very good. He learned a lot in terms of not just in the classroom environment, getting out there. I think they went to some place where they had to dig a hole and pass motion, I think something like that. So life skills outside of the classroom, I mean, that's very good because I see schools, I see actually quite a few schools overseas and they have this character development program. It's usually done outside, off-site. And that's very good because I think the new generation in Malaysia, a little bit homebound, a little bit too much on the television, my children included, and they need to get out a little bit more sometimes, I think. So so 3MS has this Seeds camp that allowed that, right? And I think they're organizing more and more programs moving forward, including I hear like personal development programs, whereby it encourages skill building. So like Stuart said, content is one thing, applying it into context. But how do you apply it into context is essentially skill. So you can get all the knowledge in the world by Google not sometimes, but to build your skill, to use that knowledge, that's the other part I think is very important in children's development and adult development, young adults. So I think 3MS is also expanding in that area, and that's something very interesting. So it's these three things I would take back, and a lot more things, but I would say these three things hit me immediately as a parent.
That's great, Sir Matthew. Thank you for that. I would just summarize one of the things you just said at the end there. It is not actually what you know; it's what you do with what you know. And I think that's what you get with the system. So kids get to be able to think, and thinking skills, collaboration skills. I mean, the education system generally, because we measure success on predominantly academic output, that's still the measure of success in education. But it's not actually what's required in the real world. That's one element of that situation. In the real world, we require a lot more soft skills, a lot more ability to communicate well, to be confident, and all these skills now are becoming more and more of a requirement for organizations. So as education is preparation for workforce, you have to have these things built in. And and if you have somebody who has 2 degrees as opposed to 1 degree, but they can't ask questions, they can't communicate, they can't interact with people, it's pointless. So the balance has to be there. And I think the thing that we've got right is that we've got success academically, but also for building these character traits and these things inside. What about you, Chris? I mean, have you got 2 or 3 items you could pick out to say, wow, when my child went to EMAS, I saw these things I didn't expect to see. You mentioned a couple of things before, but are there some things you'd like to share with other parents? Can you hear Clarissa? Joan? Sorry, can you hear the question? The question was, are there 2 or 3 things that you'd like to share with other parents that you saw as changes in your children after that EMAS experience that you thought were important from their development, but also something you recognize you had not seen before?
Okay, one thing it caught me is because they joined when they were year 6, both of them. Okay, they are twins, so they joined in the year 6. So I was impressed that the timetable, they have the sports every day and different kind of sports. That caught me because my son always used to just go for the basketball. He loves sport, but he always just into basketball. And my daughter is it's not a sports person. But when I see every day they have a different kind of sports that that impressed me in the sense that they can try out all kind of sports. Then from there, they can pick what they like. So true enough, after year 6, she actually realized that she likes netball, where she doesn't really know how to play netball before, and volleyball. So from there, I really think that this is something very different from other schools. The other school, they only have a PE class. They don't get you to get in touch with dodgeball or netball, volleyball. So that really think is a very good start for kids that they not into sports. Then another thing is the kids, after they move to this school, I realized that they have they are very looking forward to go to school every morning. My son can wake up, like, school start 8:30. He said he want to be there 7:15 so that he can play some basketball, can do some training with the basketball, and then girl can actually meet up with friends and mingle around, and then they can do what they want. But it's not like before, like when they were in Chinese school, like it's so difficult to get them up in the morning, and then have to they don't have the mood to go to school every morning. So this school, they actually you can see the difference that they are looking forward. Then I don't have to spend a lot of time asking them. They are looking forward to go. They had their breakfast and then they will just go. Another thing is okay, because now it's online school, I can sometimes I can hear what the teacher is teaching them and all that, but I can see that they are very they are, how to say, when they supposed to do the presentation, they always very involved. Whatever teacher asks them to speak out, they will just speak out, and then they do their presentation like a 3-4 minutes presentation. Is what I see is they are very confident on doing the speaking, and talking to the teacher, and what teacher is talking about, they focus in class, even the online class. That's what impressed me. So that's one thing that is hard to do it in other schools. See, so very happy about that.
I think that's great. Thank you, Joan. I think you talked about sports. Okay, I mean, sports is it's really important, more so now than ever, when you see so many, or I see so many small children sat in a cafe somewhere with their face glued to a iPad or a screen, looking at something while the parents are talking or doing something else. And yes, we're in the world now where children do interact with screens more than ever before. But also the issue now is movement is more so important than ever before. So activities. So doing sports, doing theatre, doing singing, doing dance, doing anything, all these things are super important, more so than ever. Because also we know those things teaches resilience, they teach communication skills, they teach self-belief, they help confidence. So all these things are important. And you mentioned briefly dodgeball. I didn't realize until a few months ago that dodgeball actually in Malaysia started in Sri. Sri was the first school to take on board dodgeball. And eventually the guys who were involved with the dodgeball curriculum in Sri went on and trained the Malaysian national team that won the World Championships. So so sports given a big push in these schools. And sports, like the teaching side, is not taught by teachers, it's taught by professional sports people or professional coaches. So the people who teach the sports are professional coaches. So they're looking at the sports also as a way to learn, not just play. They're learning different skills all the time. So that's also something that's really, really important. And then you talked about the online situation, okay? Now, and this is a great example of the uncertainty of the world. Suddenly we've got to switch from one way of doing something to a different way. And I think, as we see a continued development increase in technology, this uncertainty and this change in the world will be something parents have to think about. How do I prepare my child best for that? And I think what ACE did when they went from offline to online was found a way to adapt. So a school's got to be more than a school. A school has to be something that has the ability to also innovate and adapt continuously to meet the needs of the future and the needs of the children. You don't change the core essence, which is the interactivity between the students and the teachers and the students and each other. And parents play a key role in this. So somebody once pointed out to me recently that if you asked a student who'd actually, left the school and at the end of their time in the schools, be it Sri or do wherever, and you asked them to name teachers they liked, they'd have lots of teachers they could like. Now, it's a long time since I was at school, but if you asked me to name teachers I like, I would struggle to think, who did I really like at school? Well, these kids give you 5 or 6 names, which tells you, and it goes back to the point Matthew was making, it tells you about this culture and this interaction. So it needs to be a nurturing place, for sure, which is what Matthew said, but it also needs to be a place where children will challenge each other in a positive way to develop and grow. Because ultimately what I see coming out of these schools are kids with confidence. And confidence is something that you need to have your whole life now. A self-belief that you can do something else. It's okay to make a mistake, but also you can grow from it. And I think that's what you get in these schools. And to give you just at the end, to give you a brief little experience of my personal experience in this, is when I first met anybody in ACE, was 8 or 9 years ago now. And my experience was I had a meeting with Anne, introduced by a mutual friend. I met Anne, and then Anne asked me, okay, you going down to the canteen in Sri Mas, get some food, and I'll join you in a few minutes' time. So I was up on my own. I went down to the canteen in Sri Mas. I got some food from the ladies who were serving the food. And there was long trestle tables up and down the room. So I sat down, put my food down, and literally as I sat down, 2 small boys sat next to me, one in front of me and one by the side of me. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of scary. What's this? The whole place is empty. And they sat next to me, this white guy, this bully guy sat next to these kids. What are they doing? And they started asking me, so what are you doing here? What's your name? What are you doing here? Oh, that's great. And we had a conversation for 10 minutes. And then they went. I thought, wow, I've never been to a school before where kids are so confident and feel comfortable to approach people. And these skills are skills for life, right? So that's what I feel. And that was also my drawback to come and work with Anne and Melinda and team from 9 or 10 years ago. I mean, I've only been there a couple of years now, but my draw was, we've got to create people in the future who have confidence and self-belief, but also have the ability to learn from failures. And I think that's what they get in these schools. I think we've got a few more minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes left now. What I would like, if possible, for both of you, Joan and Matthew, if you had to try and just give your, describe to a non-ACE parent why you believe ACE is good for your children, maybe in a short sentence or so, what were the words you would use? Maybe you can go first, Joan. What would you, if you had to describe to a non-ACE parent, somebody thinking of sending their child to ACE, what would you say to them?
Okay, from primary until now, my kids are already this is the 3rd school they are in. Okay, so from a Chinese school, from a home school, from this Dui Emas, but I can see like Dui Emas give us what kids what kids supposed to have it. So they almost have everything they want in Dui Emas, like sports, like the open-minded, that they communicate with strangers or friends, and then the most important for our parents is the liking to go to school and the liking of learning.
Yeah,
before that, my son is those kind, like you like Matthew said, you arrange a tuition for them, they are very frustrated, especially my son, very frustrated. But now, okay, although like most of the time they don't need any tuition, but sometimes he will ask like, oh, can I have this teacher to come over to help me for like this certain topic? I don't really can get it, So at least you can see he's willing to learn. Not like before that he would just give up. I don't know, I will just give up. So from here we can see like the school actually make them want to learn more, instead of like I would just don't care. If I don't know, I just fail my subject and that's it. But these are the things that we can see like it's so different. And sports wise, they are very not into sports, instead of like what you say, like they not like whole time holding the iPad or phone or whatever. But one thing, good things that when they hold the iPad, we can see like they learn a lot from there. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of searching, what are the things that they don't understand, they don't know, instead of just playing game.
Yeah.
No, we don't see them playing a lot of game on their iPad phone. It's doing a lot of research. That's what we found out, like they know a lot of like the general knowledge is all from the gadget. It's not that much for game. I mean, they do, but then not like as much as what we worried about, that they stick to the, the gadget. It's just because they want to do games and all that, but they do a lot of research. That's what I think, that we got the right choice of putting the kids into the ACE.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Joan. Matthew?
I think in my part, because I'm kind of I'm in the education industry as well. So when before I chose a school, I actually went to visit a lot of schools, and like I said, I visited schools throughout Australia, UK, and then I visited many schools locally here to look for one for my son. So all that we described is how good my children are doing. All that is yes, but then you might ask as a parent, you might ask, but don't all international schools give you that, right? After all, international schools, you're paying so much money. Isn't it the same for all international schools? So I will give you a bit of perspective, because I went through hunting countless of schools, probably more than 10 to 12. And in my line of work, I actually bring overseas people, overseas schools to collaborate and do projects with local international schools as well. And in particular, there was this school, I think 7 or 8 schools we visited, and they started with a quiz, right? They came up with a very, very difficult quiz. Even I couldn't answer. And only 2 out of the 8 schools we visited got it right. One was 3 EMAS, the other one, I'll be just upfront, the other one was 3 KL. But these were the only 2 schools where the students actually answered correctly. So that's one thing that impressed me about the 2 schools. But when I dig deeper, because I'm in the line, I know how to dig deeper and deeper and to really find out if the school suited my children, was that I found 3 EMAS a lot more passionate. The teachers are just plain hardworking, plain passionate, plain knowledgeable and friendly. I mean, teach like Ivan and so on and so forth, I mean, you very seldom get people like that. And the ones that had a lot of that knowledge in the other school were kind of old school in terms of very, I'm a teacher, you're a student down there. They're talking down onto them. Whereas despite Ivan having so much knowledge and experience, he talks to the children like a brother, right? So like a big brother. So I think that's something quite rare in Malaysia. So to summarize a bit, the very, very established international schools, they a bit older, and then maybe they have the knowledge a bit older, and that air about them is sometimes there. A little bit more rigid, all right? So I found that they would still do a 5-year IGCSE no matter what, no matter how great a student is. And a student would be 1 year behind already because they finished the full 6 years of primary school, coming into year 7 at 13 years old, whereas they should be about 12. So it's finer things like that I understand being in this industry. And I found that EdVenture are real honest. They don't run the business like some schools that are trying to make money, to be very honest. They run it because they're really passionate in education. They really invest in training, and because of that, they're really good at what they do. And even if they were not in some areas, they're gonna find a way to fix it, and that's just from the heart. And that's what I can see, that it's genuine. It's an environment that can grow, because only with this style direction it can grow. If it's about making money, which some people say education shouldn't even be about making money, right? A lot of international schools here are doing it because of maybe upward pressure. It's owned by conglomerates that the principal is not the driver, whereas I think the principal is the teacher is the principal, the principal is running everything. So there's just really skin and passion in the game. So in choosing a school, I think these are some of the things that I factored in. I don't want to go to a big one with all the swimming pool and all the 2 swimming pools for all I care, but they're corporate people running a business. And a lot of times you can't even swim in those pools unsupervised.
I would say, we have to go now, Matthew. I'm running out of time, but I would say, if I can just summarize what you said, it's the education principle is not about the physical environment. It's about what happens between students and teachers. That's where the thing is done. So look, we have to close up now. But Joan, thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate you taking time to do this. Matthew, thank you so much again for your comments. I appreciate you taking time to do this.